Welcome to this breakout session at Avaos Expert Talks. I am Peter Weiger, I'm the Head of Insights at Avaos. And with me today I have Emma Spjut, who is the Head of CRM and Marketing Automation at Dustin. And she will talk about how they have personalized and automated at scale. Welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Happy to be here. Before I start talking about the project and what we have been doing at Dustin, I think I briefly need to talk a little bit about our complex environment. Dustin is an IT supplier with the mission to provide the right IT solution to the right customer at the right time at the right price. And of course, from a marketing perspective, this is of course the way we want to communicate as well. But I would say it's easier said than done. We have our history of being an e-com company, mainly selling IT products online. But the last years, Dustin has done a huge transformation, also offering services and solutions to our really big B2B companies, mainly by acquire companies, specialists within service and solution. So today, 2023, we offer more than 280,000 products and services. We work across the Nordic and Benelux, in total 6 countries in 7 different languages. Our target groups are mainly B2B, but also B2C. And we communicate to everyone from CIO, CTO, CFO to HR managers. So it is a really complex environment we are working in. So if we want to really communicate in a personal and a relevant way to our customers, that will never be able to happen unless we automate and make it scalable.
Thank you for that intro, Emma. So the key here is actually what the theme for today, to personalize and automate at scale. So how did it all start then?
In 2021, we started our strategy work at Dustin, and shortly after, our leadership team agreed to work with our suggestion regarding personalized experience. So personalized experience is now part of Dustin's 5-year strategy as one out of 4 areas we really want to excel within. So I would say that this actually was the starting point for this project. And also looking back, I think it was super important that we had our leadership team involved in this, since it is a huge investment, both in terms of budget and resources.
So the key here, once again, is to have people on board and having a good long-term strategy. So what happened next?
I started to investigate how we should actually deliver on this. And quite soon we realized that we will never be able to do this without external help. So I started investigate what kind of companies out there. I met some of them, and finally we decided to go with Avaos.
Okay. Thank you for that. How come you chose us at that?
I got a really good impression of Avaos. I really like Avaos use case approach, where you really build the technical foundation use case by use case. Avaos also have this pre-ready made machine learning framework, so we could quite easily implement and start using. Good at the strategic part and still works as a really good strategic advisor for us. And fourth, super important for us anyway, was that Avaos also had personal resources, actually doers, who could actually work with us together in this project. I don't think that just being left with the PowerPoint and just saying do this and that would never have done the trick, at least not for us.
Oh, nice to hear. So let us just go phase by phase, what you have done the past couple of years.
Yes. So in 2021, in August, we start with the plan and prioritization phase, where we really try to understand what we should do, towards whom we should do it based on our business goals. And we also involved our tech and IT department into this discussion to also understand how we should do it. Super important that we all of course, had the tech department aligned in this work as well. So there were quite many meetings and workshops in the beginning before we actually started. And in 2022, a little bit more than 1 year ago, we start with the actual implementation. And here we really use the use case approach, building the technical foundation use case by use case. So, for example, if we want to target customer who's about to churn, then we really need to understand, okay, what should we communicate to them? What should the target groups be? What kind of data do we need for that? And what kind of models do we need for that? So we really looked at what we need, the kind of data we need, the kind of models we need, and in what channels we want to activate it in. And but I think what we realized when we also were in the plan and prioritization phase was that at that time, Dustin had quite many challenges within IT and the IT structure. So we had, instead of one source with all the data, we actually had all the data in different sources. We have some data in the lake, some data in the data warehouse, etc. And for us, it was really important to really make sure that we could get access to all the data. So instead of choosing 10 use cases in the beginning that were quite easy to implement, that only required a small part of data, maybe 1 or 2 models, we actually chose 10 use cases in the beginning to implement the first year that were really, really hard to implement because we wanted to build the technical foundation at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So today, almost 1 year later, I would say that we can access more or less all the data that we need. And also the analytics team who's not working in this project also can access. So that was a big win for this project, I would say.
Cool. Anything about the phase you're in now, the scale-up phase, acceleration phase?
So we are in the scale-up phase, I would say, but we are in several different countries. We have different models in place, etc. But of course, we want to soon also enter in accelerate phase and add many, many more channels and of course many more use cases. But now I would say we have the technical foundation in place to really start to accelerate.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that phase-by-phase presentation. So with that said then, what have you done so far?
So far, we have built a solid Azure cloud environment. And that means that we can now access more or less all the data we need. It's purchasing data, behavioral data, customer data, third-party data, etc. For our models, and that is a super good win. We also have implemented these technical capabilities and machine learning framework for advanced analytics. And here we have done it. We have built several different models so far, everything from churn models to predictive spending model, recommendation model, etc. And we have done this in this machine learning framework. So the models we have built is really improving themselves over and over again.
Good. Anything about the action part of it?
Yes. And we have implemented a solid end-to-end solution from the data algo action. And we have implemented so far into Eloqua, our email and marketing automation system. And so far we have implemented 15 use cases, mainly for email, but also for LinkedIn.
Good. So really talking about this and doing what we promised in the beginning, talking about personalized, automated communication at scale. So now we talked about the different phases, what you've done so far. What have you learned?
We have learned quite a lot. And if I would give 5 key takes away, it should be that really take the time in the beginning to analyze your needs and your requirements before you start. It, of course, takes longer in the beginning before you can start, but I think all companies have different requirements that you really need to address and start planning for. For us, for example, it was really important that we built this in Azure, even though at that time, at least, Avow's mainly worked in GCP, Google Cloud environment. We had our expertise in Azure and wanted to continue in that. We wanted to work with the technical foundation at first. That was more important than increased sales or revenue. And thirdly, we wanted to be able to we want to work with this internally with internal resources after a couple of years. So therefore, we really need to make sure when we did the resourcing on this project, really make sure that we work really, really close with Avaus all the time.
So a clear reskill and upskill perspective on it.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Okay. The second key takeaway then.
Build for scale already in the beginning of this project. Don't take any shortcuts. It will beat your ass in the end for sure. And again, it takes longer, but definitely worth it in the end. It's not fun at all to need to rebuild things or restart doing things because you didn't think right in the beginning. So maybe start small, but think big already in the beginning.
Good key takeaway. The third one then.
Third one is to make sure that you have the right people on board in this, especially the decision makers and the ones with the money. This is a huge project and a big investment. So it's super important that the stakeholders really understand both why you are doing this, how you will do it, and what it actually will accomplish in the end. Unless you have the right people on board, you will never succeed. And change people's mind and way of working is hard, and this actually requires a new way of working.
Speaking of people then, the fourth one, cross-functional teams.
Yes, this is really a cross-collaboration with different teams. We are working with people from Marcom, analytics team, IT, tech, legal. So we really need to make sure that we have a dedicated team working together with the end-to-end solution always in mind.
And I know I thought a lot about this, but the ownership when it comes to who owns this?
It's Marcom who owns it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and that, of course, in the beginning was quite a lot of discussion who should actually own this in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. The fifth and last key takeaway then.
Yes, and this always sounds like a cliche, but I think it's so important to really make sure that you have fun along the way and celebrate your victories. Yeah. Because you will end up with bumps in the road, and that will come for sure. So take the time to celebrate any time possible.
With that said, has it been a smooth ride?
It has been nothing but a smooth ride. I think we have changed almost everything that you can change within this project. We have changed the way of working from being a project in the beginning to now being agile team working. We have changed people working in the project, both from Avaus and from Dustin when it didn't work out for various reasons. We have changed how we fetch the data. In the beginning, it was BI who delivered the data we needed to us, and now we actually get it ourselves directly from the source. We have changed direction in this project from building technical foundation to now really enter the scale-up phase. And we have had so many discussions and meetings with legal regarding and to make them understand what this is all about. And we have been doing LIA's risk assessment. We have changed our way of working, both when it comes to profiling and opt-in, etc. So it's been nothing but.
I thought you would say that because I mean that's a really good insight. This is not just data and technology. This is so much more. This is change management for real. So it's strategy, it's KPIs, it's of course data, tech, but it's also security, compliance, all this, and also of course the softer sides of things. Organizational capabilities, will, skill, all of that. So really good insights. So my last question is basically, are you done now? Or what is the next step?
No, we are far from done. Of course, we want to implement more tools and systems. For example, DAM systems, so we can automate our content in our channels. We want to implement a reverse ETL tool, a tool that helps you decide what you should actually communicate to what customer in what channel, the prioritization of it. We want to add even more channels. As I mentioned, today we only have Eloqua connected to this, but we want, of course, connect many more channels, and of course implement even more use cases.
Yeah, so really scaling up and accelerating where we started with like personalized and automated communication at Dustin.
So for sure. So the team have done a tremendously good job, and I think we're all super proud of the work that we have been doing so far, but we are far from done.
Nice to hear. Thank you, Emma, and thank you, the team, for the work you've done. And also, thank you for the viewers watching this. I hope you learned a lot, and see you around.
Thank you.